I am 82 years old, and there are 5 things I keep within reach of my own hand in this house. 5. Not one more. I did not learn a single one of them the easy way. I learned every one by losing it first, and then standing in somebody else's kitchen, at my age, explaining myself out loud. What does an old man actually need to be able to touch? That is the whole question tonight. When I finally counted them out on my fingers, no shame came up in me, and no pride came up either. What came up was honest. It had been a long time. Pull your chair nearer the fire, friend, and let an old voice go slow. The world is not circling your house waiting to take from you. Your children are not sitting up nights counting your spoons. Most of them love you. That is not the trouble. The trouble is quieter than that. Can a person be loved very much and still, one small handing over at a time, wake up some ordinary Tuesday with nothing at all inside his own reach? He can. I did. Nobody planned it. That is exactly what makes it so hard to see coming. My grandmother had a saying for when somebody in the family started doing every single thing for somebody else. She would say, "A hand that is only given to forgets the shape it was born with." She never said it cruel. She said it the way you would mention the fire is getting low. My grandfather talked less and said things once. He told me, "A person keeps what he can lay his own hand on. The rest he is only borrowing back from somebody's kindness, and kindness gets tired." I was 19. Was that a cold way to talk about your own blood? I thought so, and I told him so, and he let me think it. I am 82 now, and he was not speaking about blood at all. He was telling me where a person's dignity actually lives, not in what you are handed, in what stays close enough to touch. So, here is the first confession. The first thing I keep within reach is a little money that is mine, that my own hand can get to without asking permission of anybody. I do not mean a fortune. I never had one. I mean the small, plain amount that means I never have to stand in a doorway and account for myself. Do you have that much? There was a season after my wife passed when everything of mine sat in one place with a helpful name on it. It was done in love, by tired people trying to help. Then one Tuesday I wanted flowers for her grave. Just flowers. And I had to ask. I stood in a bright kitchen explaining out loud why an old man would want flowers. I got the flowers. I want to be fair. But something in me sat down that day and did not get up for 2 years. The old ones held seed corn back from the harvest. Every year, no matter how thin the winter looked, that corn did not go in the pot. They were not greedy. They intended to be here in the spring. Before the second thing, let me lay one small offering beside your chair. My grandmother's sayings and my grandfather's I gathered into a slim volume called The Native Way. It is this same slow talk, set down in language plain enough for a few quiet minutes of an evening, on the nights when the house has gone silent on you. The link in the description below will take you to it. There is no pressure in it at all, none, and I mean that. I am glad you are sitting here whether you ever open it or you never do. That is the truth, and it is the last I will say about it. Would she have offered it any other way? She would not. She handed a thing over once, and then she went back to her work and left you to yours. So let me give you the second thing I keep within reach. The second confession. The second thing I keep within reach is my own key to my own door. That is all it is. A piece of cut metal on a loop of old leather. The plain ability to lock my door and open my door myself, at whatever hour I choose to do it. I had a friend named Walter. Gentleman, quiet, raised 4 children and buried a wife and never once raised his voice that I heard. His daughter took his key one winter when he was mending, and she took it for good reasons, and she was good to him every day of it. But the mending ended, and the arrangement stayed. So Walter waited. He waited to be let out, and he waited to be let back in. He would say, "She is good to me," and it was true, she was. And I watched a man who had crossed an ocean in a uniform learn to sit in a chair by a window until somebody had the time for him. He did not get bitter. He got quiet, every year a little quieter, until the quiet was most of him. My grandmother put it plainer than I can. A door you cannot open is only a wall with a nice handle on it. There is a river back where I came up that has been running that same country longer than anybody can count, and it still picks its own bend. It is old. It is slow now in the flat places. But not one thing in this world has ever told that water where to turn. So when my son built the ramp onto my porch and put the new lock on the door, I said thank you. And I said, I want my key on my ring the same day the lock goes on. It was not a fight. It took one sentence. Most of these 5 take one sentence, said early and said kind. And they are nearly impossible to say later. Do you know where your key is right now, this minute, while you are sitting there? The third thing I keep within reach is a plain box with my papers gathered in it. All of them, in one place, where somebody could actually find them. My wishes written out plain, in my own hand while my hand still works, so that nobody has to guess what I wanted, and then fight each other over the guess. I watched that happen. A man named Eli, who I fished with for 30 years, died in the fall without ever writing anything down. He was not careless. He just always meant to do it in the spring. His people were not bad people. They were 4 grown children who loved him, sitting around a table with 4 different memories of one sentence he said once, years back, about the house. 4 honest memories, every one of them certain. They did not speak to each other for 11 years. 11, over a man who would have handed any one of them anything he owned. My grandfather said it this way: a thing you leave unsaid does not stay quiet. It goes and gets loud in somebody else's mouth. The oak drops its seed at its own foot, close in, where the ground is known and the thing can be found. It does not fling its whole future out to the wind and trust the wind to be kind about it. There was a woman up our road we all called Grandmother Weaver, and she did the opposite of Eli. She kept a tin box on the shelf above her stove, and every few years she would take it down at the table and say, "Here it all is, and this page is what I want." Nobody argued at her funeral. Nobody had to. She had already answered every question they were going to think of asking. So there is a box. It is not a fancy box. In it is the paper that says who I am, the papers for this house, and a single page in my handwriting that starts, when the time comes, here is what I want, and nobody has to guess at me. My daughter knows where that box sits. My neighbor knows too. 2 people know, and 2 is 1 more than 1. The 4th thing I keep within reach is a way to get somewhere without asking to be carried. My boots by the door where I can see them. My old truck, 31 years old, and she starts most mornings. And the fare folded in my coat pocket for the mornings she does not. There was a stretch of about 5 months when that truck sat dead in the yard, and I learned a thing in those 5 months I would rather not have learned. A person will ask for a ride twice. The 3rd time he decides that whatever he wanted was probably not that important. I stopped going to the Wednesday coffee. I stopped going across town to see Eli while Eli was still living, and I will carry that one a while yet. Nobody kept me in this house. I kept me in this house because I could not stand to be somebody's errand 3 weeks running. My grandmother had a line for it. A road you cannot get out to is only a picture of a road. Geese go the same direction together, the whole flock leaning on the same wind, and not one of them gives up its wings to do it. Not one of them is carried. So now the boots stay by the door. The truck stays running even on the weeks I have nowhere to be, and the fare stays folded in my coat, and I check it the way another man checks his watch. Not because I am going anywhere tonight. Because a person who could go is a different person than one who could not, even when the 2 of them are sitting in the very same chair, doing the very same nothing. Do you know which of those 2 you have been this month? And the 5th thing, the one I would hold on to if the other 4 had to be set down in the road and left there. The fifth thing I keep within reach is one name I can call at any hour of the night without apologizing for the hour. Samuel, 86 years old, 3 miles up the road, deaf in one ear and stubborn in both. 2 winters ago, I came awake at 3:10 in the morning with something sitting on my chest that was not sickness. It was grief, plain grief, and it had picked that hour on purpose, the way it does. I called Samuel. He picked up on the fourth ring. He did not ask me what was wrong. He said, "I am here." And then neither one of us said one word for a long time, and it was the finest conversation of my whole life. I did not apologize for the hour. That is the entire thing, right there. I did not have to build a reason first and carry it to him. My grandmother told me once that anybody can find somebody to talk to at noon. The question is, whose name is yours at 3 in the morning? Up behind the old place, there are 2 pines that came up too close together, and they grew leaning into one another instead of growing straight. A man who knows timber would tell you that is a flaw in both of them. Then the big wind came through and laid the straight ones down in a row, and those 2 crooked pines are standing yet, because each one was leaning on the only thing that was leaning back. Now here is the part I am least proud of tonight. I let my own list get down to that single name. Between 60 and 70, I let friendships go the way a man lets a fence go. One post at a time, no decision anywhere in it. And when I finally looked up, I had one name left. 1. It should have been 4. Let me go careful here for a minute, because a list of 5 can sit heavy on somebody alone in a quiet house. Counting these was not the same as hating myself for the years I did not have them. Hear that difference, friend, because the difference is where people get lost. A man who hands over his key is not a fool. He is usually tired, or he is grateful, or he is trying to make life easier on a daughter who is already carrying too much, and handing it over feels like the loving thing at the time. A thing I did is not a thing I am. Those are 2 separate animals. I let my truck sit dead in the yard for 5 months. That happened, and what happened has a repair. I am a burden. That one never happened. That was never once true, not on my worst day, and I will not let a list turn into that sentence in your chest. Because shame goes hunting for somebody to blame, and it nearly always settles on the person holding the list. Where does that get anybody? When I understood what that doorway had done to me, I did not need to be ashamed of myself. I needed a small amount of money my own hand could reach. 2 different problems entirely, and only one of them can be mended. And pride is no better company than shame. A man who has all 5 and holds them up like trophies has misunderstood them just as badly. These are not trophies. They are the ordinary bones of a life a person can still stand up inside of. So I will say it the way I said it at the start, not ashamed, not proud, honest. So let me gather this up for you now, the way my grandmother gathered the ends of her shawl before she stepped out into the cold. A little money my own hand can get to, my own key to my own door, my papers in one box where somebody can find them, a way to get somewhere without asking to be carried, and one name I can say out loud at 3 in the morning. 5 things. A stranger could walk through my kitchen and step over every one of them without seeing a thing worth having. Now turn it toward your own house. Answer these honestly, because I am not in the room and nobody has to hear a word of it. Could you buy something small tomorrow without explaining yourself to anybody? Is your key on your ring right now, or is it lying in a drawer in somebody else's kitchen? If your people had to find your papers this week, would they know the place? Or would they have to guess and then argue about the guess for 11 years? Could you get to town on Thursday if not one soul was free to take you? And whose name would you say at 3 in the morning? If one of those 5 landed harder than the rest, that is not bad news. That is only the one that has come loose. You do not have to mend 5 things tonight. Nobody has ever mended 5 things. Some of you are asking a question tonight that I once asked at this same table, with the wrapped flowers still in my arms. Is it too late for me? Well, I will not promise you how any of it turns out. I quit promising people outcomes a long while back, and be careful of any man my age who has not. Here is what age has not taken. I can still notice. So can you. You can notice one loose thing tonight before the light goes, and in the morning you can make one plain choice about it. One sentence, said early, said kind. The noticing and the choosing. Those two stay a long time after the rest of it goes. Before I let this fire go down, tell me one thing. Of those 5, which number went in the deepest? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? Just the number down in the comments is plenty, and say more if you want to, and I will get to it. I am slow, but I get to everyone, usually before the sun is properly up. And if tomorrow evening has a space in it, come back and take this chair again. The fire will be going. The coffee is bad and it is always yours. Go gentle with yourself tonight, friend.